So Gervonta Davis was back in action last night when he took on the undefeated fighter in Frank Martin, who before last night had a professional record of 18 wins with 12 losses. Now, this fight kind of went how I predicted. I did make a predictions video over on TikTok where I said that I thought the opening few rounds would be close and that I expected Gervonta Davis to be able to knock out Frank Martin in around the 7th or 8th round. And that is what happened. Now, Gervonta Davis we have not seen in a boxing ring since way last year, and that was in the Ryan Garcia fight. From then, we have seen nothing of Gervonta Davis. So I was kind of wondering, I was curious as to see how the guy was going to get on in there. Was there going to be a lot of ring rust, etc. Which his timing I thought was a bit off, especially in the earlier rounds. But after that, after he got the first couple of rounds behind him, his timing came right back to him. He done a good job of pressuring Frank Martin back and trapping him against the ropes and the corners for large parts of this fight. Now, Gervonta Davis was a massive favourite going into this fight, and rightly so. He has fought and beaten way better competition than Frank Martin, but I think Frank Martin was being underestimated going in there. Now, I didn't think he would win, but I didn't think he was going to get completely blown out in this fight, and he didn't. The guy did have a really good showing of himself in there, landing some good combinations on Gervonta Davis in there. But like I said in my predictions video, I feel like Gervonta Davis is and was just levels above Frank Martin in there last night. Now, in terms of what should happen next, Gervonta Davis claims to be the face of boxing. He is a megastar. Massive name in the sport of boxing, but the guy needs to fight more. See this fighting once a year bollocks, it doesn't work, especially when the guy's like 29, 30. Like, the heavyweights can go on for a bit longer, but the lighter weight guys like Gervonta Davis, they can't go into their like late 30s. It normally doesn't work. So what I think should be next for Gervonta Davis is a big fight against Lomachenko December, or Shakur Stevenson December time. I feel like Gervonta Davis, what the PBC should be trying to do with the guy now is to really capitalise on him, because he is a star and he can make them loads of money. And I like watching Gervonta Davis fight. He is very entertaining. I feel like they should try and get him out there December, January at the absolute latest against Lomachenko or Shakur Stevenson, and then whatever way that works, I would assume that one of those fights would have a rematch clause, then have that early in the summer, and then have him face again in the later half of the year against whoever he didn't face. So say he fights Lomachenko next, that's fine. I'm sure he'll have a rematch, get those two fights out of the way, then after that straight into Shakur Stevenson. Now, Ryan Garcia was there. Ryan Garcia is just too big for Gervonta Davis now. Plus, Ryan Garcia is going through a suspension, I believe, now, and like, what's the point in seeing Ryan Garcia be drained again to fight Gervonta Davis? It doesn't make any sense. Devin Haney again, I feel like the time's passed for that fight. He's too big. So I feel like either Shakur Stevenson or Lomachenko, ideally both of them, should be next for Gervonta Davis. Glad to see him back. The guy can seriously crack. I mean, he put Frank Martin out. Other boxing that went on last night over on Boxer on Sky Sports. What was I going to say there? I fucking went blank. Yeah, Ben Whittaker. I didn't know if I was going to talk about the main event first or not. Ben Whittaker, he was back last night. Yeah, a usual Ben Whittaker performance. Went all 10 rounds. Done his usual showboating stuff. It is entertaining to watch, but the competition level needs to be stepped up. And if it's not going to be stepped up and he's still going to be fighting at this level, he needs to be putting guys away. He has a very fan-friendly fight style, very entertaining to watch. Great boxer, obviously a silver medalist in the Olympics, but it's fun to see the dancing around and the antics, but like, let's start putting these guys away, especially at the level he's boxing at right now. I would like to see more finishes. Hopefully now he can take a big step up in competition. I feel like he's ready, or if he's not ready, then this will, I just feel like he needs to make this jump now, to be honest. Everybody's hyping on about him being a big name, big star. Let's get him in these big fights. The main event for the WBO Cruiserweight World title last night, Billam-Smith versus Richard Riakporhe. Now, Richard Riakporhe was quite a big favourite going into this fight. I mean, the guy was on a pretty impressive run. He was on a 5-fight finish streak there. Obviously had beaten Chris Billam-Smith the first time around. Chris Billam-Smith was coming in there on a 10-fight win streak. And obviously with that massive win over Lawrence Okoli, which took place last year, maybe year before. Can't really remember, but that was not his last fight, but the fight before that. Now, I thought Chris Billam-Smith was going to win this, but the fact that everybody was saying Richard Riakporhe and he was such a big favourite, I was wondering, what am I not seeing here? But I was correct. Chris Billam-Smith came in there with a perfect game plan of smothering Richard Riakporhe, having the power puncher on the back foot and not giving him the ability to plant his feet and throw those power shots. And that's exactly what happened. Richard Riakporhe started off pretty well. Not that he started off pretty well, sorry. I mean, he was landing his jab and he was able to bust Chris Billam-Smith up. All single shots, though, from Riakporhe out there. No real combinations. The only really success, or at the time I thought the fight maybe was swaying, was round 9. But honestly, Riakporhe maybe won 3 out of the 12 rounds at best. Chris Billam-Smith went in there, done a job on him at Crystal Palace's stadium. Yeah, great win for him. I think if I'm Chris Billam-Smith, I'm asking for the Jai Opetaia fight in Saudi to get that big payday. Now, there are other champions. Maybe what would be better for him is to try and go after the 2 other champions and unify that way. But if I'm him, I'm probably going to go for that Opetaia fight and try and get that big Saudi payday, because he is 34 years of age. He's not getting any younger. And at the end of the day, it's about getting those big paydays. He's won the belt. He's accomplished being a champion. Now on for the big paydays. I don't think he beats Opetaia. I don't think anybody at cruiserweight beats him. But I feel like hard to underestimate the guy. He was an underdog last night, and he just showed that. Like, working hard in the gym really pays off. Like, that guy is just a product of his environment, of just always grafting, working hard. It was nice to see him get the win. Wasn't a particularly entertaining fight, but nonetheless, good win for him. Good win for Ben Whittaker. Great win for Gervonta Davis. Let me know your opinions on these fights in the comments below. And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you again in the next one.